This conference will now be recorded.
शीला दरवाजा खोल दे ये वाला। You guys, am I audible clearly? Start with the
Yes,
session.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
You're audible.
Thanks for that. Guys, first of all, apologies for the last session because there was a lot of network issues in the last session. And I think like many of you might not be clear what we covered in the last. So myself, we have decided to we will be continuing with the last session only. We will be taking the last session again basically along with showing how we are creating test and test group in on the JMeter. To give a practical overview of the like what is the JMeter. Okay. So, because I don't want until like you, if you are not clear with the last session, that was basically introductory session. Because in the further sessions, we will be going topic wise, like thread groups, controllers, etc. So you have decided to again so that like you guys are more comfortable with JMeter. Then I will just share my screen. If my screen is visible,
Yes, yes.
thank you. Okay. As we know, for today's session, the main agenda will be focusing on what is JMeter, what are all their basic elements. With JMeter, we have some plugins also associated with it. We will be just seeing that what are all like what example we have with the plugins. Basically, like there are a lot of basic elements associated with the JMeter, lot of plugins. Obviously, like it's not at all possible to cover all of them because many of them are basically for specific requirements that a person has during the testing of the application. But yes, we will be covering some generic ones that are more usage, more like that comes under more of use in our might be in our daily day. Yeah. What is performance testing? First of all, like it's a generic question. Like what is the performance testing? It's nothing like as we do a functional testing, we are performing the performance testing also. That basically just to determine like how the system will perform or how it will respond. Or also like we need to see how the system is stable under a specific workload. For example, if any one of you like has developed a website, some sort of web application, okay, like when we talk about the web application, then the second question is that how many users can my web application can support at a particular amount at a particular time. Okay. For example, if I take about example of any site like it's the google.com or any .com site, if in a because when we are launching our web application, many number of users will be accessing it in one go or after 10 seconds, after 15 seconds, after a gap of 15 seconds. Then when if I say that we don't have any such tool, JMeter or any such performance tool, then if I want to test for say 100 users, 1,000 users, then how I will do that? The main thing that will be the main thing that will be done is that I will be organizing a lab. I will be making around 100 200 laptops ready and making that number of users sitting there and just telling them to in access the site in one. But this is fine. That can be done for might be for 100 users, 50 users. But when the users are in number of in thousands, in millions, as we know for the Google.com, then these things are next to impossible. Like having such infrastructure, it's next to impossible. So for such requirement, we have the tools like JMeter. There are other tools also in the market, but JMeter is one of the renowned tools that we have. The JMeter is completely based on Java. It's completely into building the Java language. Okay. We have different kinds of like performance testing. If I say one is the load testing, another is the stress. If I talk about the load testing, it is basically that how my system is performing on a specific load. Okay. If I say this is my site, this is my web application. I know that my web application will be able to support 100 users, 100,000 users at a particular amount of time. So I'm testing my application for 100, 200, 500, 800,000 users at a time for the different kind of scenarios that I. But there are times that I want to know, like how my system will behave when my system is very much overloaded. Means if I know that my system has only 1,000 users of capacity to handle, then I want to check if this 1,000 increases to 1,500, 200, 2,000, then how the system will behave. That is basically is the stress testing. It's normally used to test the upper limit of capacity within the. This kind of test is done basically to determine the system robustness in terms of extreme load. Because whenever there is extreme load, then the system, it should not be behaving in abrupt manner, like crashing or going offline, something like that. But it should gracefully handle such type of support. Means if, for example, my application is not able to handle that specific load, then it should give proper messages. It should give proper feedback to the customer, and should if and should come down, or might be shut down, or might be like handling those requests in a graceful manner and not in the abrupt manner. Okay. See, whenever we are doing some sort of testing, we have certain goals behind that. Like for example, for functional testing, we our main goal is that we need to test that particular application or anything functionally. So performance goals, we have mainly two kinds of performance goals. Okay, one is a concurrency throughput, and second is server response. As the by the name, you guys might be able to easily to read that. Is a concurrency throughput. We are checking that basically what how many transactions per second the applications are my application is able to handle. That is one thing that any person or any organization will need to see, that how many transactions. For example, if I go to the banking sector, okay, many all the banking sites are basically online. So they definitely want to know that how many users, like for example NEFT transaction or IMPS transaction, they want to know how many users doing the parallelly such transactions or like transferring funds. My ICICI.com will be able to handle basically transactions per second that my application or my .com site will be able to handle. Second is server response. How how my server, basically how my application server on which my application is residing, how is the response time of that particular server? Basically, because whenever we are talking about some website, for example Paytm or ICS.com, they are whenever they are live, then the servers on which they are residing, they should be responding in a good manner. It should not taking more up like a specific amount of time. Basically, the amount of time the application and test takes to process a request after it is received. Okay. This is one of the main parameters that anyone, basically your higher management, because the higher management, whenever a team is given performance testing of a particular web application, okay, then the higher management need they doesn't care about that how you are doing that particular testing. Okay, they are mainly they basically care about that the stats that you will be giving. JMeter has a lot of different ways to present those stats to the customer, like for the conference throughput or server response. Like for example, creating some graphs, creating some charts. So it has many way out to showing this statistic in a more pictorial way to the higher management. Because if I like whenever the technical persons basically who are doing the actual test, they know how what are the technical terms, okay, but the higher management doesn't know that. So they know some sort of graphs or charts to basically visualize, or they to basically pictorial way to visualize things, that how my application is performing. So this can also be easily be achieved by the JMeter. Now, what is JMeter? It's basically an Apache project, okay, that can be used as a performance testing tool for basically measuring the performance of, as we know that a variety of services will focus on web app. It's an open source software basically developed by Mr. Stefano, and basically we are using it for testing a web application against heavy load, multiple and concurrent, as you know that you use it. What can you do with JMeter? We can like either we have multiple what do you say that? multiple ways that we can use a JMeter. What is the performance? Basically, first is that perform the automated and functional testing of our application that we have just discussed. Also, the other the other approach is that we can use the JMeter for basically for taking a look at our servers, basically for continuously monitoring our servers. See, there are many type of servers that we do that. Database server on which our database is residing, on which our FTP servers are residing, on which our applications are residing. So how that servers are behaving? Basically, if many of you have worked on Linux and Unix systems, if you know that we have many commands like du command for like disk usage, df command, many commands to see that what are my current system statistics. Okay, JMeter has some plugins to, to basically run these commands on the servers and get the statistics. Okay, these metrics I'm just giving an example. If you see my screen, there is a matrix known as perform metrics collector. Okay, what this metrics do is that it will be you will just give him some set of commands. Okay, and give the server's IP address and port, etc. So it will go and it will log into the server and perform those commands after a specific amount of interval. For example, on the same server, my web application is also running. So first step is that my web application is running, my load is running. On the parallelly, I am running this plugin also just to see that how my server is basically what are the statistics of my server also, means how my disk is used, how my CPU is functioning along with my web app. Okay, in the going like in the further session we will be covering a couple of such metrics also, means not metrics but a couple of such plugins also, to see that how we can use such plugins in our in the monitoring of the server. This is the basic description flow of our JMeter work. Like when we start the JMeter, there is a request basically that is being created in the JMeter that is targeted towards particular server. Okay. In as we know that in JMeter we give the number of threads for how many threads we need to hit the request. So this is particular the request that is being created. Okay. Then here, as soon as the request is created and a request is hit, then the server will respond. JMeter will save all the responses with it. Basically, it will be saving all the responses, and at the end, JMeter will be after saving all the responses. JMeter will work on that particular response, and it will give you statistical information. Means, for example, in type of graphs, in type of charts, etc. Okay, if you see this performance report, this is the end result of the JMeter functioning that can be easily achieved. Such report. The basic elements of JMeter. JMeter is made basically in JMeter. There are many basic elements that constitute into the JMeter. Okay, we have the examples over here: test plan, thread group, controller, listener, assertion, timer, configuration element, preprocessor, post-processor element. First, we go with the test plan. Okay, what test plan is that? It basically anything in the JMeter whenever you are starting, it comes under test plan. Okay, first of all, you need to create a test plan, and then everything in the JMeter, whatever you want to do with the JMeter, whatever functionality you want to test or create the load, that will be coming under the test. A complete test plan, it will consist of one or more thread groups, logic controllers, sample, generating controller, listeners, timers, means everything over here below the test plan. It will be coming under this test. Then thread group. Thread group is the basic of our JMeter. Basically, it will be the if I in the layman terms, it will be the number of users that you want your request to be hit. Basically, okay. These are the three main parameters. We will be covering in further session in detail and by having some examples also, like how we are using these parameters. Like first is the number of threads. Basically, the number of threads are basically the number of users. that will be hitting a particular specific request. For example, google.com, if I want 100 users to hit the google.com at in parallel, then I will be giving 100 over here number of threads. Next is ramp up period. Ramp up period is basically that, because if I talk about the real world scenario, okay, this 100 users will not be hitting the google.com 100 at the same time. Okay, like for example, after 3 seconds the second user will be done, after 6 seconds the third user will do. This is a real world scenario. So such real world scenario will be easily be taken up by using this ramp up period. Okay, for example, we have number of threads to be hit is 10. Okay, and I give in the ramp up period 100 seconds. So in JMeter, it will be done is that 100 divided by 10, it will be 10. Okay, it means every thread will be started after 10 seconds, after a gap of 10 seconds. Okay, ramp up period, it means in this period you need to switch on all the threads. If my number of threads is 10, my ramp up period is 100. It means in 100 seconds, all these 10 threads should be up. Okay, so 100 divided by 10 will be 10. It means that every thread should be up in another 10 seconds. So it will be 10 into 10, it will be going to 100 seconds. We will be covering in further session also. Next is that loop count. It's the number of times you execute the thread. If for example you have number of threads to be 10, might be ramp up period might be for example another 10, and I give loop count to be 10. It means every thread every thread that you execute, it will be repeated 10 times. Okay, this is the loop count. If for example like you have number of threads 10, then 10 users are hitting the request, then all those 10 users will be repeating 10 more times, means that number of loop time. Okay, controller, we have basically two types of control. That one is the sampler, another is the logic control. Okay, sampler is basically it's the request that the JMeter is sending to the target server. Okay, it tells JMeter to send request to a server and wait for a response. They are basically processed in the order they appear in the test plan. And under sampler, there are number of requests. Like for example, if I talk about HTTP request, FTP request, JDBC, Java, RPC. Mainly, when I talk about the sampler, mainly we always talk about the HTTP request, or maximum for a FTP request or a JDB. Okay. If I talk about the HTTP request, if you guys have done some of the API testing or something like that, then those HTTP requests has if like has such requests associated with that: get, post, put, patch, everything. All such type of requests can easily be handled using JMeter. Next is the logic controllers. Basically, this logic controller is used in such a way that, like as you know that there are in the coding we have if else. Okay, do while everything. What is the use of, for example, for if what is the use of if else? To basically control the functioning of the logic. Okay, or to change the functioning of the logic. The same thing is applied in JMeter also. If for example you have 5 sampler requests, okay, then this logic controller that can has either a if controller, loop, while, once only. These controllers will basically check the response of the sampler, and on the basis of that response, or on the basis of the check, next coming samplers will be executed. Means if for example, if I have 3 samplers, sampler A, B, C, okay, and I have this controller also on them, then if I am checking if from sample sorry if from sampler A my response is then this, then only my sampler B should be executed. Such controllers can be used very easily to basically program or to test different kind of loads. Okay. Listeners, listeners basically let you to view the results of samplers in the form of tables, graphs, trees, or simple text also. It provides access to the information JMeter gathers about the test cases while JMeter runs. There are a number of type of listeners, graph, view results. Listeners are nothing as the name suggests listeners. Okay, it means that, for example, you have your scenario ready. All the requests are ready. Everything is ready in your game. At the end, you add a listener. What it will do, it will sit quietly. It will gather all the response, everything in your JMeter load. Okay. Then at the end, it will show you the result in a more of a pictorial way. That is known as listener. If I see over here, as the name suggests, graph result, view results in table, fine visualizer, data writer, it means like in a in a simple text file also you can have your response data written. Okay, monitor means there are the like the aggregate graph. There is also graph can also easily be created. Assertion, as you know that like if like many of you have must have done some sort of programming. Assertions are basically just to check whether my response is correct or not. Means if, for example, I have got a response from the API, I need to check whether my API response is 201 or 200 or some error code. For example, I want to check whether my response has this data in that or not, or basically the response, this particular feed in the response is X or Y or Z. Such type of assertion can easily be used or not used, but it can easily be incorporated in the JMeter also. It basically allows you to assert facts about responses received from server and the test. Using assertion, you can easily test that your application is returning the result you expect, okay, it to return. It allows you to basically include some validation test on the response of your request. Number of type, we have number of type of research like response, duration, basically HTML, size, for example, whatever the request body you are getting, that should be a specific size. So we can have the research of that particular size also. Compare XPath, like if you might be, you guys are well aware of about the XPath, like in Selenium we have that XPath. So it we can use that XPath over here also in the bean shell assertion, for example. Timer are basically, they allow the JMeter to give a delay between each request which a thread makes. Okay, a timer can solve the server overload problem. Also in the real life, as we know that visitors do not arrive at a website at all the same time, but at a different time interval. So timer will help them mimic the real time behavior. As the name says that it is used to just incorporate a specific delay between each request. So that is, and we have a different kind of, like many number of timers, around I think 8 to 10 number of timers we have. So we will be checking that what are the use of different timers over there. We have some configuration elements with us also. Basically, for example, like in our programming, many times we need to declare some variables with some default values at the start. So, and that variable will be after each trigger we are incrementing, for example, that variable. Such thing can also be done using this configuration element. They basically allow you to create defaults and variable to be used by the sampler. They use to add or modify requests made by sampler. Such type of configuration elements we have like HTTP authorization, cache manager, cookie manager, proxy servers, etc. So next is like preprocessor element. For example, as its name says, preprocessor, it means that whenever you are sending a request, basically hitting a sampler, then just before hitting the sampler, you need to perform some activity. For example, you have a sampler with the API request, means in the API URL you have a I value going inside that URL. Okay, just before that sampler is it, you are incrementing that, you need to increment that value. So in the preprocessor you are doing that stuff and passing that value to the next, basically your sampler. It is something that runs just before a sampler executes. They are often used to modify the settings of a sampler request just before it runs, or to update the variables that are not extracted for the response. There are a number of types of preprocessor like user parameter, JDBC, regex, user parameter. Same goes with the post processor also. Means preprocessor is executing just before the sampler is hit. Post will be executed just after the sampler. And it's something that runs just after a sampler. Okay, finishes the execution. They are often used to process the response data. For example, to retrieve a particular value from the response for later. We have different type of post processor with us. Regular expression, JDBC, beam shell execution order. As we have gone through all the elements of uh, this JMeter. Okay, there is an execution order of these elements. First of all, this configuration element will be executed if we have this added in our test plan. Then the preprocessors will be executed. Then the timer will be executed. Then at last the sampler will be executed. Just after sampler, the post processor will be executed. Then the assertion and then the list at the end. At the start of the session, we talked about this JMeter plugin. Okay, so we have a lot of other features with the plugin associated with it. Shipping thread group perform metrics collector. We already talked about in the second third slide. Response time versus threads, response time, distribution parameter. These all are the plugins that are given with the JMeter, and there are many other other plugins also that are there with the JMeter. This is an example like how the chart comes to us when the JMeter requests are done. Like for example, we have 30 threads to be executed. My ramp up time is start 3 threads every 10 seconds. Okay, it means hold for 300 seconds and stop 2 threads every 5 seconds. Second scenario is that 10 threads. Ramp up is that start 1 thread every 10 seconds, hold for 300 seconds, then stop 1 thread every 5 seconds. You might be wondering how we are achieving such scenario. There are many ways to achieve this scenario. We will be covering it in the session going forward. Like this. This is also a kind of graph that can be made. Like now, if you look at this particular graph, okay, when like because whenever you are getting a task from the management that you need to perform such testing and let us know the result. Okay? If I take the result to them in the normal in the normal text format that for example my server is responding in this millisecond etc, and that will be very tedious for the management people, though those are not a technical guide to understand. But such graph, if you use this graph to make them understand, they will be easy to understand. It will be easy for them to understand by looking at. Okay. Guys, this was the demo session. Okay. Before going ahead, I want to show you what JMeter is, how it looks like, and how what is test plan, what is thread group, how we are adding them, how we are using them. But just small, like giving a small demo. Okay. Guys, you are able to see this JMeter screen. Can any one of you confirm?
Yes, yes. I used earlier.
Okay.
Yes.
Fine. So whenever if I go to file, if I take to new, okay, at if you see at the root we have the test plan. What we studied just now is that everything that happens in the JMeter or that is there in the JMeter means or your thread group or all of the elements that will be covering under the test plan. So by default we have a test plan ready for us. Okay. If I now what is the start point of our test plan? It will be a thread. Okay. If I first of all whatever you want to add, you need to go to the test plan, right click on that. You have number of this options. That is the generic option that you might not be able to use it or might not want to use it for that. You need to go to the add. First of all, we will be adding a thread group. Okay, a simple thread group that you need to go to add. You need to go to thread. Okay, this is a see over here. There are 4 types of thread groups available. Open model thread group, thread group. This is generic thread group. Then next is a setup thread group. Next is a tear down thread. We will be covering these these thread groups, but for now we will be using only the generic thread group, that is the normal as a thread group. Okay. Now this is the our main thread group. If I go to my slide, okay, I will just go to the that here. If I see over here, the parameter thread groups are number of threads, ramp up period, loop. Okay, you can see over here number of threads, ramp up period, and loop count. We have other parameters also we will be covering in next session. Okay, where we will be going in detail, like what this option means, stop thread, stop test now. Every option, what does it exactly means, how we are using. Okay, this is the basically your thread group. Now, for example, I'm just taking this example to show you that, for example, I want to hit google.com. Okay, but we will be creating one small sample request over here and just try to hit it. Simple as that. Just to give, because for the coming session, before starting with the next session or the next topic, you should have a good like good hands-on on this particular screen at least. How you are using it, how you are adding thread group, what is exactly thread, how it looks like. Okay. If I go to this and right click on this, you have this add button. Now see, now because you are clicking on thread group, right, thread group. Now we are don't have any more thread group option over. Okay, inside the thread group, whatever things are allowed that are there. I go to sampler because whenever I'm hitting a google.com, I'm using an HTTP request. Okay, so my sampler is I will be using this HTTP request sampler only. Okay, I do this. Now we have HTTP request sampler with us, for example. Going in the coming session, we will be learning about all these flows, like these little fields. Okay, use multipart, everything we will be learning about this. But for now I am just taking a simple example. Okay, you can easily create a like given name over here, for example, uh, sampler with google request. Simple as that. Okay, if you want to give any sort of comments over here, you can easily give that. Okay, now as we know that in the google.com we have https.google.com. Okay, by default it has http, so I will be doing https. Here we need to give server name or ip, means like, because when you will be doing in-house testing, you might be giving directly this the ip, for example 192 dot 12 dot 8 dot 9, something like that. Okay, but for now I'm just giving google dot, simple as that. Nothing port number, because when you will be testing in-house, basically your in-house application, then you will be giving port number over here, like, because your applications are obviously like that, they are at some specific port, but when they are made live, then we because the urls are whitelisted at in whitelisted, so we don't usually give the port number. Okay, so because I'm just hitting the google.com, I will be using normally a get request. Simple as that. Because I think you guys must have used some of this API requests like get with post. So normally get request, but it does that. It is hitting the API and getting the information from that API, and not basically sending any information to that particular URL. As simple as. Okay. Now this particular sampler is ready for the Google Doc. So before hitting that, we need to see how many I've basically for how many users I want to hit. Right? I will be giving that here. For example, if I say you, I want to hit for 10 users. Okay, simple. Now I will not be taking this ramp up period loop count for now, because I don't want to go into that. We will be covering in next session for specific. That session will be specific for thread group only. So that we will be covering over here, like how we are taking different values, how it is controlling my execution basically. Okay. I will be taking one for now. Okay, fine. Now, next thing is we have talked about some listeners. Okay, I will be adding from here, add from here, going to listener. For example, norm it's a this is a basic listener view result tree. Okay, this is a very basic listener. Okay, now I how the results will be viewed in result tree. As soon as I hit the request, you will be able to. Now, for hitting the request, what you will need to do first of all, now your this particular sampler is ready. I will be saving it. Go to file, as simple as that. You have save button. Go to save. Okay. This is my normally this is my location where I'm saving it. Okay. I will be giving it a name. For example, Google Google sample request. As simple as okay. And guys, anything you save in the JMeter, it will be always be at the end. It will be JM. It will be a .jmx file. Basically, JMX file. JMeter file is always a extension with a .jm. After doing this, I will be opening this JMX file, normal notepad or something like that, to show how what kind of JMX file we have at the back end. Okay. So I've just saved it. Now I will be just hitting the request. How you need to hit the request? See, there are now normal shortcuts for the keys also. Like for Control R, you can use for running this sampler, with the running the execution. But you have this green button over here. You can see this green button. Okay, I will just doing this. Right. I've just hit that. It is hitting now, and now it has stopped. How many threads were there? 10. Now in view result tree, you are able to see all the requests. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now if you see over here, you have these three fields. This is the basically where we are viewing these results is under the view result tree list. This is my result basically. My response code is 200. My response message is okay. Okay. My these are my headers that I am getting from google.com. Okay, this was my connect time. In how many time I was able to connect to google.com. This was the byte size in bytes in which I've got the response. This is my request. Basically, there was no request body. Actually, in the get request, we are not sending any body. This is my header that I'm getting. Basically, this was a request header. We have three categories over here: sampler result, request, and response. I'm into request. Under request, we have two things. What was the request body? What is the request header? There was no specific request for the header. In the response data, this is the huge body that we are getting, and this is my response header that I'm getting from you. Okay. Now, if, for example, you want to hit another request, means you want to hit another time. Now you want to clear everything from here. One is that do over here reset. Sorry, uh, it is a clear. It will clear everything, all the results. You can also do this using Control E. For example, now I will be running this sampler using Control R. It has run. If, for example, you have run your sampler, but in the middle you want to stop it. Okay, I will be run it. Here is the stop button. Just stop it. You will click. It will be stopping in between, and it showed the red. Okay. For example, now you run over here. Okay, and you want to clear all everything. You want to know for the next one. Then do Control E. It will be clearing everything. Okay, this is a sampler request. This is a sampler example that how we are basically creating a JMeter request. Simple as that. Now, how my this JMX is created, I will be showing you all this. See, this is my JMeter. Okay. I'm doing this. Open with. Let's see. We can use normal notepad right now. Now, see, it is basically an XML at the back. Okay, nothing but an XML. Actually, I just wanted to show you in a more of a means in which you can easily see all of this XML. Mm, I don't have that XML reader, I think. But if you guys normally see like this, it's a purely an XML. That's it at the back end. That is saved with .jmx format. Okay.
Could you please format this XML file so it will be easy to
Actually, that
understand?
I have this notepad. That's why, like, I don't know, like, which option will be used for formatting. Or I,
Online on
yeah.
there are multiple websites where you can
Okay.
format this.
Just give me a second.
Or you have a Notepad plus plus, it will be.
I don't think so. I have this notepad. I will do that in the XML formatter. Okay. This is my XML. If you see that. Okay. Here is my test plan tab. Under this test plan, everything is there. Here, from here, my thread group has started. All these values, like the threads that we have given 10. Okay, everything is there. All the values are there in this Excel. This is my view result tree at the end that we are using for viewing the results. Because guys, as you know that it is JMeter is completely a Java application. So Java has provided us with some of the libraries also that you can directly use to create a JMX. Means uh, this is a GUI. Okay, this JMeter is a GUI. But in the core Java, we have many libraries that we can easily use to create our JMX and run the load also. Means in that thing, we just means every through core Java also, we have some JMeter libraries that can be used to do the that load test. You need not use this might be this JMeter tool also. We have because all those libraries that are built in JMeter only in the Java format that can be used in the normally core Java also. And using that core Java libraries, you will be getting the same XML. And that JMX can be easily be open in the JMeter also. And then you have JMeter binary also that can be used to run that JMX from the backend. Means everything can be done using backend also without opening this JMeter tool. That is one of the option, but generally in the industry we are using less of that option. Basically, less of that core Java libraries for the performing the JMeter test. We are using in very less way. I have done in my one of my project. That's why I know about that. But generally, people in the industry are using this JMeter tool. That's it.
So,
Yeah,
I have one question over here.
yeah, yeah.
For example, if I have created a JXL file,
Yeah.
can I trigger those file with the help of code, like in a Selenium or in
Mhm.
or with the help of Java code? Can I trigger that?
Actually, I'm not able to get your question clearly. Can you
So
just repeat?
my question is, apart from UI, it's a JMeter
Mhm.
UI. Apart from this, if I'm using the same things with the help of code, can we use that?
You mean to say using the straight away using the Java libraries? You mean to say?
Yes, yes, yes. Can we write
Yeah,
a
we will
code?
do that. Yeah, yeah, yes, yes,
Like,
definitely.
like for
You can
example,
write a code.
for example, you have created one sample over here in a JMeter. There is
Right.
and you save
Yeah.
it. So
Yes.
there is a file which you save. Can I trigger those files with the help of code?
Yes, 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 definitely. See, if I just check over here, this is an XML, as you all know.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, if you see, this is a thread group. Over here, this is a test plan. We have different classes for test plan. For thread group also, we have different classes. Okay. So if you see over here, this is a test class. What is a test class? Thread group. Okay. What is the GUI class related to it? That is a thread group GUI. So all these are basically a Java classes only that are there in the Java library. So you can directly, if you are doing a core Java, you can directly, you just need to include that particular dependency in your POM file. If it is a POM project, okay, just use that libraries directly. You can directly create this JMX also and run the load also. Need not use this JMeter tool also. But because this is easy to use, like, see, many performance testing people who are just doing the performance testing and they haven't done this core Java earlier or anything like that, so they can't do that thing. So many is that's why I think 70 to 80% industry is using just a tool. They are not going to at the back end and using that core Java. In my case, like, I was having that kind of a project and my client recommended to use that, so we did that. So
In
you
my
have
current project,
all the
someone in my current project, someone is using this kind of things. That's why I'm asking the question. That is possible. So,
means you are using the tool you will use.
there is a different tool, a JMeter, not a JMeter. It's a different. I'm not aware about that. Let me try to find
Okay.
out the answer, and I will tell it in the next session.
Oh, oh, okay.
Okay, thank you.
So guys, I think this was a small example of to give you a good overview of how the JMeter looks like. Any question till now? Any clarification till now? Because in the next session we will be starting with the thread group. So at that time, at least you should be clear about what is JMeter, how we are using thread group, how we are running the test case, how we are like doing basic activity. So any question over here, anything, please, I think we should clear it right now. Oh, we can do at like tomorrow in the at the beginning of the session also. But any like on the spot question or anything like that, if you want to ask.
So where we can download this software, JMeter?
Yeah, that I will be doing in the next session only. We have online like Apache site only, in which you have there is a binary section from which you can easily download the latest JMeter version. It needs it needs Java to be already be installed in your system, Java 8 plus. So you can easy just it's the basic requirement is only the Java 8 plus. That's nothing else, because everything JMeter is completely into Java, so it needs that Java into your system. The how to basically from where to download, how to download, I will be showing in next session. Everything from the scratch basically. So
Okay.
you can get all of your answers over there. No issue.
Okay.
Are we doing any automation in performance?
Sorry,
Are we doing automation in performance?
automation and performance team
No, for performance, are we using any script? I'm asking
over
to
here
run
in
a
the
UI.
JMeter.
Yeah, UI performance.
No, no, we are not performing any UI performance. That is also at one time it's possible nowadays. Like you can perform some scenario testing also using JMeter, but we are basically covering the API request from this JMeter. That is mainly used. Mainly the JMeter is used for your backend testing. I will say basically because it's mainly used for your web application. That's why.
Gotcha. So web application, if you are running in three of the web browsers like
Yeah,
IE, Chrome, and then some
right,
other web browsers. So are
right.
we doing any scripting for that? Right? We are using any
Means
drivers?
opening. Okay, means opening the browser, launching the application like that.
Correct.
No, no, no. We are not doing that kind of stuff over there.
Gotcha. Yeah. Thank you.
So, no issues. Any other queries? Because I think because all this I wanted to cover in the first session only because due to a lot of network issues from my end. It was my bad. I was not able to do much of the thing at that particular amount. Any sort of query, like anything, we have 5 minutes from now. Because like if I go to this thread group, you can see there are number all these options, all these elements that we have just talked about. Like for example, in my in this particular all this test plan, set group, controller, listener, assertion. You can see everything over here in this right click and add everything over here. All these basically these are the elements of the tree that are there that can be easily added into the set. Like controllers, these are number of controllers that we have. Obviously, we can't go each and every, but we will be covering at least the basic one that can be that can using which you can easily, if you want to learn any other going forward, there is a need of any other, because many controllers are very requirement specific. That like or like from the 10 requirements might be it is only in the one requirement. Like we have preprocessors, number of preprocessor, we have number of post processors, like assertions, we have number of assertions over here like this. We have number of timers as we know that. Okay, this over here config element, we have long list of config. We have over here listeners, number of listeners. Also like because I have taken this listener in this under this particular sampler. If I want, I can easily take this at this plan level also over here. Okay. Now this particular listener, for example, okay, if I add one more thread group. Now this listener, it will work for my both the threads. If you want specific to thread group also a listener, you have over here. If you need to go to thread group and right click and add this listener over here. Like okay. So you have at the level of test plan also, you have at the level of thread group also. Over at the level of sampler also you can add a tree. For example, if I do this, okay, now hit over here. So we can have at the level of sampler also. It all depends on. If we want to remove, just click on it and remove. That's it. Okay, guys. Then I think let's catch tomorrow for the next session. That will be we will be starting with the thread group from tomorrow. Okay. At the start of every session, we will be reserving 5 minutes at least for the last session. Any queries, any questions, anything, so that we can cover in that. If it is taking more time, then I will be doing at my end and will be covering in the next session. Might be like if it is taking it more time at that particular point of time. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot for today's session. I will be sharing the recording soon. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.